Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at the subreddit r/maliciouscompliance, where people conform to the letter but not the spirit of a request. If you're new around here, please do hit subscribe down below so that you never miss out on another video. But for now, let's sit back, relax, and enjoy some malicious compliance. His name was Charles. This happened to me circa 2004. Warning, this story is not funny. Malicious compliance of a different colour. Changed my life for the better. Still gives me chills. Working McDonald's drive-thru. No speaker. 2 order windows and a 3rd pickup window. Charles is working window 1. I'm working window 2. Charles is black. Ripped, tall, huge, has prison tats all down his arms, somewhere between half an ounce or 2 of fat on his body. Picture Terry Crews with darker skin and black tats to the wrists. Charles is equal parts charming, soft-spoken, humble and ambitious. He knew where he had been and was determined to change his life. Probably one of the best men I'll have ever met. Enter green minivan. We had both taken orders at the same time and mine was long gone. Charles's order was taking forever, probably 4 minutes just taking the order before payment. I come over to check on Charles. Before I get close, I notice he's blocking the frame of the window so I can't hear anything. It's an awkward position for him and blatantly obvious. He moves his hand out to me out of sight of the van and gives me the stop sign. Back off. Got it. Time passes. Manager on duty comes out to check the issue. He waves her off, she protests. I tell her to wait and see. Something is deeply wrong. Suddenly, Charles points the van down to the other window and leaps into action. Slams the window, shoves past us without a word, and races to the 3rd window. Manager and I look at each other. Check for other cars. None. Then follow at a distance. Manager had been running the order, but Charles took over and personally handled every part of the order with the speed of a madman and quality of a 5-star restaurant. He grabs a new batch of fries. He has the cook triple check each burger. He breaks a cardinal rule of the store and shows the van all the kids' meal toys we have for personal preference. Drinks and condiments are handed out and Charles gives them a genuine smile and enthusiastically thanks them for being customers. Have a great night, we'll see you soon. Charles waits until they are out of sight before returning from the window and visibly shaken. Walks back to his register. Manager starts to fuss about an explanation she's owed, but Charles just says he can't yet. His legendary Zen calm is severely damaged. After a few minutes to get a drink, wipe the sweat off his face, and compose himself, he opens up. Van had rolled up. Charles had greeted them with the usual, "Welcome to McDonald's, what can I get you for this evening?" and his winning smile. White father driving waits for Charles to finish and with a loud sneer had turned to the wife and for all to hear said, "You order, hun, I don't talk to bleep." Wife turns to the 2 young kids, probably 8 and 10, impressionable, learning, watching. They had locked eyes on Charles. They'd seen his tats. They'd listened to the hateful otherizing of those people from birth. Charles decided that he had it within him to reach for something better. Father be damned, he's long gone. Charles decided that he had a message for those boys. The wife patiently and sheepishly took the excruciatingly and needlessly complicated order from the father and then had to speak past him to Charles. Same for the kids. Light mustard, 3 pickles, etc. Perfectionism. Charles reached down inside himself for something that neither I nor the manager possessed, and he gave the wife a genuine smile as he whipped out the order. The father knew he had been served a dish he thought impossible to serve. It was served with kindness and compassion and a compliance that defied everything he told them about those people. The kids both waved to Charles from the back of the van as the father pulled away. They liked their new friend. For those that have asked about what makes this a malicious compliance, I've had around 15 years to think through it all. Number 1. The stated intent was for Charles to be forced to serve them in a degrading and humiliating manner. The spirit of the order was goading and baiting Charles with an impossible task. Racist douchebag father wanted Charles to slam the window in his face. Simply doing his job was a slap in the face of the request. Ergo, malicious compliance. Number 2, the racist father had thought he was clever by making his reprehensible statement, but what he'd also done was write a check that his wife was forced to cash. The racist father wouldn't dare sully himself by deigning to speak with one of them, but he'd ordered his wife to do his dirty work. By taking the order, Charles was humiliating the racist father and allowing his demand to debase his own wife in front of him. By dragging the order out to make sure we get it right, he made the wife add insult to injury by repeating things from the racist father to her to Charles, and then back again. Number 3. In my mind's eye, I can picture Charles staring very intently at a sweaty, greasy, racist father as Charles holds his hands out waiting for payment. I can imagine Charles gently holding her hand mere inches from the racist father's face and then placing the check back in hers. You won't talk to me, therefore you'll have to watch as I touch your wife with my hands, right in front of your children. Number 4. The last part of the order was also the most crucial. If any part of it had been less than perfect, the magic would have been lost. Charles made sure that nobody else handled anything for them. He was responsible for everything being perfect. That's why he hustled. The order was made excellent by Charles doing all the work. You hate black people, yet every bite of this meal is going to be the best meal you've ever had here because I made it better. Number 5. The racist father drove off with his tail so tucked that it must have hurt. His wife had been dragged through the mud by his own demands. Some black guy had made friends of his own children, and the coals from Charles's fire had been heaped onto his head. Again, all in front of his own family because of his idea of being snarky or funny and racist. I wish I knew where Charles was or what happened to him. I love the idea of seeing where those boys went and what impact he had on their terrible childhoods. I honestly think that was the perfect response, and I respect that guy so much for that. Because those racist people, I just don't understand. I guess this was 2004, but there still is people like that right now, and it's stupid. But yeah, big respect to Charles, and I hope he's doing well. I'll take an everything burger. My first job was waitressing at a 50s diner-style burger joint. I think I was about 16? It was a sweet gig. My co-workers were generally nice. The customers were a mixed bag. Though we did have one homeless guy that would come in and do our food challenge weekly for a free meal. He was cool. Anyways, to the story at hand. I had a family come in. If I remember correctly, it was the tradition dad, mum, 2 kids. It was lunch rush, and basically all the tables in the bar were filled. So I'm taking their order, and the dad asks for a burger. What would you like on that burger? Everything. Well, we have a lot of options. I gesture to the menu section containing the topping choices. The dad does once over, clearly not long enough to read, looks back at me and states, everything. At this point, I should know we had a bunch of choices. Looking at the restaurant's menu, they currently have mustard, onions, coleslaw, chili, mayo, ketchup, lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, grilled jalapenos, grilled mushrooms, grilled onions, and grilled bell peppers. I feel like there was even more choices when I worked there. The place also had 4 to 5 cheese options. I asked the dad a few more times if he's sure, even tried to list the toppings. His wife even tried to explain the situation. I could tell he was getting agitated, but I also knew he didn't know what everything meant. Eventually, I take his word for it and attempt to get the rest of his order. "Do you want cheese?" "I said everything." "Well, we have 4 everything." Yikes. I want to point out, he's literally yelling here. Those exclamation points are not for emphasis. Well, I finished taking the table's order. On the ticket, I remember specifically taking the time to meticulously write out every ingredient as clearly as I could. The tickets were small, and each ingredient was denoted by an acronym, so it was a challenge to fit everything. I also made sure to include every possible cheese. I knew this monstrosity was going to be sent back. I knew it was an abomination, but I was determined to give that man what he asked for. The line cooks looked at me like, "You sure?" With a simple nod, I pulled the trigger. I walked that burger out to the man with the biggest smug grin. It had to have been 2 pounds of sloppy, wet burger. The annoyance on his face would have been reward enough, but as predicted, the father called my manager over and complained. My manager came to me fuming, clearly had been chewed out by the man. "You know you have to ask the customers what they want on their burgers." I did. Well, the man at table 11 said he didn't ask for that. Mind you, I was still 16 at this point and timid. Still, I explained the situation. My manager's demeanor changed and he had a little smirk on his face. My manager asked me to follow him back to the table and grabbed a menu on the way. "Hi sir, I need some clarity. What exactly did you ask for on your burger?" Everything, but..." My manager opened the menu on the table, pointing to the topping options. "Sir, this is everything. This is what's on your burger. I'll be happy to remake the burger to your specifications if you can give me them this time, but we are very busy and it could take a while." "OP, please take his order." So I did. I can't remember his actual order anymore, but it was definitely a more traditional burger. Probably took about 10 minutes to come out, so his family was mostly done with their meal while he was beginning. We could have taken another burger off the line to make his, but why make a chill table wait? I don't understand, he literally asked for everything. What was he expecting other than everything on the menu? Is there some kind of like secret everything code word that I should be aware of? You leave too early. I was a system administrator for a big 3-letter telecom company in the one small department. There were 2 admins, me and Jay. Jay was awesome, super intelligent, very friendly, and was great at his job. He and I decided that I would come in early and he would stay late, so there was more coverage during the day. It worked great for both of us for a few years. I would get to work at around 6:30 AM. I would review all the system generated reports overnight, check the health of my servers and database, and then generate the daily reports for various managers throughout the company, including my own manager and his boss. After 9 hours, plus 1 for lunch, I would go home at around 4:30 every day. Jay would show up around 10:30 and would usually be the last person to leave around 7. My old boss left and my new boss, T, was a major idiot and huge douchebag. He knew nothing about IT and should have never been put in charge of people. He was a nepotism hire. After about 6 months of T working there, he brought me into his office. He said that he was very concerned about how I would just up and leave each day at 4:30. So consistent that you could set your watch by it. I tried to explain that I'm there at 6:30, 3 hours before he showed up, and 4 hours before Jay showed up. But T was having none of that. I was leaving too early. I asked him what my hours should be. He said I should be more like Jay. He said, Jay is usually here longer after everyone else leaves. Once again, I tried to point out that Jay gets there at 10:30, 4 hours after me, and leaves by 7, an 8.5 hour day with an hour lunch, where I get there at 6:30 and leave at 4:30, a 10-hour day with an hour lunch. T just couldn't comprehend that. So I complied. I told him that I would be the last one to leave from now on. T was happy. So I came to work about 10:15 the next morning, which was a Friday. I started my normal routine, and about 10 minutes later, Jay came in. We worked the day, and the last person, with the exception of Jay and me, left around 6:30. We both left at 6:45, and I made sure that Jay left the building before me. The following Monday, I once again showed up at 10:15. This time, there was about a dozen emails and a few voicemails from managers and executives all over the company, wanting to know why they haven't received their daily reports. These reports were used in various Monday morning meetings all over the globe. I explained to them that my hours have changed, and they would be getting their daily reports by 1 PM. One of those executives was my boss's boss's boss. Before the end of the day, I was in her office with T and T's boss. I explained to her the same situation that I had explained to T before this all started. She immediately told T that the work I did between 6:30 and 10:30 was mission critical to the entire company, and I was to immediately go back to my old schedule. I then sheepishly pointed out that 6:30 to 4:30 was 9-hour workdays, and Jay's 10:30 to 7 was 7.5-hour workdays. I said I would be happy to go back to a 6:30 start time, but was going to limit my hours to 8-hour days, since I didn't get overtime. So starting the next day, a Tuesday, and every day after, I showed up at 6:30, did my work, and smiled and waved at T when I went home at 3:30 later that afternoon. So consistent, you could set your watch by it. Edit to add 2 things. Number 1, I don't get overtime because I was salary, but my salary was based on a 40 to 45 hour week. 2, to those who say I threw Jay under the bus, he was well aware of the situation and supported me. Plus, as I said above, he was absolutely amazing at his job. They wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like. And if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.